My friend, I want you to think about something for a moment. Imagine your life as a blank canvas, a vast expanse of possibilities waiting to be painted with the colors of your dreams, your aspirations, your deepest desires. Now ask yourself this question. Are you truly living the life you've always envisioned? Or are you merely existing, going through the motions day after day, settling for a reality that falls far short of your true potential? If your answer is the latter, if you find yourself stuck in a cycle of complacency and unfulfillment, then I have a message for you today that could change the trajectory of your life forever. It's a message about the power of forcing yourself to take action, even in the face of fear, doubt, and overwhelming odds. You see, my friend, the harsh truth is that comfort and complacency are the enemies of growth, the enemies of progress, the enemies of living a life that is truly fulfilling and extraordinary. And if you want to achieve greatness, if you want to live a life that is bigger than your wildest dreams, you must be willing to step out of that comfort zone and force yourself to take action. Now, I know what you're thinking, but it's easier said than done. How can I possibly force myself to take action when the fear and doubt are so overwhelming? And to that I say, you're absolutely right. It is easier said than done. But that's precisely why it's so important, because the things that are truly worth fighting for in life are never easy. So let me share with you a personal story that will illustrate the transformative power of forcing yourself to take action, even when every fiber of your being is telling you to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay small. There was a time in my life when I found myself stuck in a rut, going through the motions day after day, living a life that felt far too small for my dreams and aspirations. I had settled into a comfortable routine, a familiar pattern that provided a sense of security, but at the same time, it was slowly suffocating my spirit, my ambition, my hunger for something greater. And in that moment, I was faced with a choice to continue down the path I was on, or to take a leap of faith and force myself to take action towards something greater. Now, I'll be honest with you, the choice wasn't an easy one. In fact, it was downright terrifying. I was comfortable in my routine and my familiar patterns, and the thought of stepping out of that comfort zone filled me with fear and doubt. But deep down, I knew that if I didn't take that leap, if I didn't force myself to take action, I would be forever haunted by the question, what if so, I did something that went against every instinct in my body? I forced myself to take that first step, to break free from the chains of comfort and complacency, and to start taking consistent action towards my dreams. And let me tell you, that decision changed everything. The path wasn't easy, my friend. In fact, it was filled with obstacles, challenges, and moments of self-doubt that threatened to derail me at every turn. But I kept pushing forward, reminding myself of why I had started this journey in the first place, and drawing strength from the small victories along the way. And as I continued to force myself to take action, something incredible happened. I began to develop a level of self-discipline and resilience that I never knew I possessed. I learned to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and I cultivated an unwavering belief in myself and my abilities. But it wasn't just about the external victories, my friend. The real transformation happened within me. As I forced myself to take consistent action, I began to shed the limiting beliefs and self-doubts that had held me back for so long. I started to see myself not as a victim of circumstance, but as the architect of my own destiny. And let me tell you, that shift in mindset was game-changing. It gave me the confidence and courage to dream even bigger and take even bolder actions towards those dreams. It empowered me to step into my true potential and live the life I had always envisioned for myself. So, my friend, if you're feeling stuck, if you're struggling to take action towards your goals and dreams, let me be the one to give you that nudge, that push, that wake-up call you need. Force yourself to take action, even when every fiber of your being is telling you to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay small. Because the truth is, comfort and complacency are the enemies of growth, the enemies of progress, the enemies of living a life that is truly fulfilling and extraordinary. And if you want to achieve greatness, if you want to live a life that is bigger than your wildest dreams, you must be willing to step out of that comfort zone and force yourself to take action. Here's what you do, my friend. You start by taking one small step, one tiny action, no matter how insignificant it may seem. Because once you take that first step, once you break free from the chains of inaction, the momentum will start to build, and the fear and doubt will begin to dissipate. And as you continue to force yourself to take action, you'll start to develop the habits and mindset of a person who is unstoppable, a person who doesn't let fear or doubt stand in their way, a person who is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their dreams. But don't just take my word for it. Look around you, my friend. Look at the people who have achieved greatness in their lives, the people who have made a lasting impact on the world. What do they all have in common? They were willing to force themselves to take action, even in the face of fear, doubt, and overwhelming odds. Think about it. The entrepreneurs who built billion-dollar empires, the artists who created masterpieces that have stood the test of time, the leaders who have inspired and uplifted entire nations, they all had one thing in common: they forced themselves to take action day after day after day, even when the path ahead seemed impossible. So my friend, ask yourself this: are you willing to be one of those people? Are you willing to force yourself to take action, even when every fiber of your being is telling you to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay small? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to live the life you've always dreamed of? If the answer is yes, then let me be your guide, your mentor, your partner on this journey, because I've been where you are now, and I know the power that comes from forcing yourself to take action, even when it seems impossible. I'll share with you the strategies and mindset shifts that have helped me overcome fear and doubt, and I'll be there to support you every step of the way. Together, we'll break free from the chains of inaction and complacency, and we'll forge a path towards a life that is truly extraordinary. But you have to make the choice, my friend. You have to be willing to take that first step, to force yourself out of your comfort zone and into the realm of possibility. Because the truth is, the life you've always dreamed of is waiting for you on the other side of that fear, that doubt, that hesitation. So what will it be? Will you continue to live a life that is small, safe, and unfulfilling? Or will you force yourself to take action and step into the greatness that is your birthright? The choice is yours, my friend. But I'll leave you with this: life is short, and the opportunities for greatness are fleeting. Don't let fear, doubt, or complacency hold you back any longer. Force yourself to take action and watch as the world opens up to you in ways you never thought possible. Because when you do, when you take that leap of faith and force yourself to take consistent action towards your dreams, you'll not only achieve the success and fulfillment you've been longing for, but you'll also unlock a level of personal growth and transformation that will stay with you for the rest of your life. You'll develop a level of resilience that will make you virtually unstoppable. You'll cultivate a mindset of growth and a belief in yourself that will propel you towards your dreams with unstoppable momentum. And when you finally reach the summit, when you look back at the obstacles you've overcome and the challenges you've faced head on, you'll realize that they weren't roadblocks at all. They were stepping stones, opportunities for growth and transformation that shaped you into the person you were meant to become. So go forth, my friend. Force yourself to take action, embrace the challenges, and never, ever give up. Because on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that doubt, lies a life that is truly extraordinary, a life that is worthy of your greatest dreams and aspirations. The world is waiting for you, my friend. It's time to step up, force yourself to take action, and claim the greatness that is your birthright. Because when you do, when you break free from the chains of inaction and complacency, you'll not only achieve the success you've been longing for, but you'll also unlock a level of personal growth and transformation that will stay with you for the rest of your life. You'll develop a level of self-discipline and resilience that will make you unstoppable. You'll cultivate an unwavering belief in yourself and your abilities, a belief that will propel you through any obstacle, any challenge that life throws your way. And as you continue on this journey of forcing yourself to take action, you'll start to see the world in a whole new light. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach will begin to present themselves. Doors will open, and paths will unfold before you, paths that will lead you towards the life you've always dreamed of. But it won't be easy, my friend. There will be moments when the fear and doubt creep back in, moments when you'll be tempted to retreat back to the safety and comfort of your old patterns and routines. But in those moments, I want you to remember why you started this journey in the first place. Remember your dreams, your aspirations, your burning desire for something greater. And most importantly, remember that you have the power within you to overcome any obstacle, to conquer any challenge. Because when you force yourself to take action, when you break free from the chains of inaction and complacency, you unlock a level of inner strength and resilience that is truly unstoppable. So keep pushing forward, my friend. Keep taking those small, consistent steps towards your dreams, and watch as the momentum builds, as the fear and doubt begin to dissipate, and as the world opens up to you in ways you never thought possible. Surround yourself with a tribe of like-minded individuals who will support you, encourage you, and hold you accountable on this journey. Seek out mentors and guides who have walked the path before you and learn from their experiences, their struggles, and their victories. And above all, never lose sight of your why, the reason you embarked on this journey in the first place. Because that why, that burning desire for something greater, is what will fuel you through the darkest of moments, the most daunting of challenges. So embrace the struggles, my friend, lean into the challenges, and use them as opportunities for growth and transformation. Because on the other side of those struggles, on the other side of those challenges, is a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever thought possible. And when you finally reach the summit, when you look back at the journey you've taken, you'll realize that the true reward wasn't just the achievement of your goals, but the person you became in the process. You'll be a living embodiment of the power that comes from forcing yourself to take action. A testament to the fact that greatness lies within each and every one of us, waiting to be unleashed. So go forth, my friend. Force yourself to take action and watch as your life transforms before your very eyes. Embrace the journey, savor the victories, and never lose sight of your why. Because when you do, the world will open up to you in ways you never thought possible. And you'll finally experience the life of fulfillment and purpose you were always meant to live. The path may be challenging, but with each step, with each consistent action, you are carving out your own path to greatness. You are becoming the best version of yourself, a person of strength, resilience, and unwavering self-belief. And when you finally reach that summit, when you look back at the journey you've taken, you'll realize that the true reward wasn't just the achievement of your goals, but the person you became in the process. So, my friend, let this be the day that you take that first step. Let this be the moment when you break free from the chains of inaction and complacency and step into the greatness that is your birthright. Because the world is waiting for you, and it's time for you to claim your place among the ranks of those who have dared to dream, to take action, and to live a life that is truly extraordinary. The choice is yours, my friend. Will you continue to settle for a life that is small, safe, and unfulfilling? Or will you force yourself to take action and step into the greatness that is waiting for you on the other side of that fear, that doubt, that hesitation? The path ahead may be challenging, but I promise you it is a path worth taking. It is a path that will lead you to the life you've always dreamed of, a life of fulfillment, purpose, and joy beyond your wildest imagination. So take that first step today, my friend. Force yourself to take action and watch as the world opens up to you in ways you never thought possible. Embrace the journey, savor the victories, and never, ever give up. Because when you do, you'll unlock a level of personal growth and transformation that will stay with you for the rest of your life. You'll become the architect of your own destiny, the master of your own fate. And when you finally reach that summit, when you look back at the journey you've taken, you'll realize that the true reward wasn't just the achievement of your goals, but the person you became in the process, a person of strength, resilience, and unwavering self-belief. So go forth, my friend. Force yourself to take action and claim the greatness that is your birthright. The world is waiting, and it's time for you to step up and make your mark. Because when you do, when you break free from the chains of inaction and complacency, you'll not only achieve the success you've been longing for, but you'll also unlock a level of personal growth and transformation that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Number one regret that people had, people who were dying, who knew that they were crossing over and making their transition, the top regret was, I wish I'd have had the courage to live the life that I knew I was destined to live. In other words, that I had a purpose, that I knew that there was something greater that I came here to do, that I signed up for something other than just to fit in and to go along and to follow somebody else's rules. And most of us are not, don't allow ourselves the freedom to listen to those internal callings, those things that we all feel are just so important to us. I can give you two examples of the two most significant moments in my life that I can think of, other than the birth of my children and all those wonderful things that took place. But I went to my father's grave in 1974, a man that I just hated. I was filled with rage and antipathy and anger towards. And I was called to go there at the age of 34. And I went there because I was just angry. I wanted to make a connection. I just couldn't believe that this man, he'd been dead for 10 years and I had just found out. And I stood on his grave for the longest time just cursing and being angry. And I went back to my car. It was down in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I got into the rental car to drive back to New Orleans, and then I was going to fly back up to New York because I was a professor at St. John's University in New York City. I had been thinking about wanting to write and all of that, but nothing was going right for me at that time. I was out of shape, things weren't working well, I was drinking, I had been doing drugs, I was in a bad relationship. My whole life was just not on the kind of path that it is on today. And I got back in the car to go, and I felt I'd finally done that, and I had a calling. I was called back by some invisible intelligence, some burning desire, something that we call light, something that we call the impersonal part of us that is always directing us, and it's always directing you as well. You're listening to it sometimes. Most of the time we ignore it in the name of fitting in or doing what I don't have time, or I'm too old, or I'm too fat, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too white, or I'm too black, or I'm too poor, and endless we go with all of the reasons why we can't fulfill a destiny that we know is ours, that we signed up for, that we're here for in this infinite universe, that who we are is not this physical body that we're in that is here for a moment and gone. Who we are is this infinite intelligence, and we forget that. The same intelligence that created this infinite universe that never ends is you. You manifested in this infinite, divine, organizing intelligence. You're a part of all of it. And I got a calling, and the calling for somehow said, go back. You're not complete. That's not why you were sent here. That's not why I wanted you to go to your father's grave. I went back. Something came over me at the age of 34. I have no idea what it was. I do know now that it was light, it was God, it was that divine intelligence, whatever you call it. What I said at that gravesite, from this moment on, as I send you love, I send you kindness. Who am I to judge you? Who am I to condemn you? Who am I to be critical of you? I don't even know what you were living through and why you had to do what you did. I send you love from now on. I'd never had another bad dream about him. I was never angry about him. But the most intriguing thing happened is that my life made an entire shift. A shift that all of us can make at any moment. We never know. These callings are so strong, and yet they're always there. After I left Biloxi, that I flew up to New York, flew down to Fort Lauderdale. I had 2 weeks. I checked into a motel on A1A, the Spindrift Motel, and I wrote for 14 days. And I wrote a book called Your Erroneous Zones, which became one of the largest selling books in history. And it propelled my life in a whole new way. I stopped drinking. I started getting exercising more. My relationships all changed. The divine person that I was to meet showed up. My children showed up. Everything changed and shifted because I was willing to listen to that inner voice, that light that said, go back. Another time, just a few years later, it was 1976, I was driving on the Long Island Expressway from where I lived in Huntington, New York, into the city. I was about to receive tenure, which at that time I was 36 years old. I had written 3 textbooks. I was a star there as far as they were concerned. I was going to begin, to live a life in which I was going to be a professor for the rest of my life. Tenure, guaranteed employment for the rest of my life, something that everybody at the university longs for. I was ready for it. And I pulled off the Long Island Expressway as I was contemplating that. And I sat on the side of the shoulder there for about a half an hour, just watching the cars go by, wondering and asking myself, do I really want to get tenure and stay here and do what I've been doing? I've already done this. I know how to do it. Am I going to be in the same office doing the same thing? Am I going to live 90 years, or am I going to live 1 year 90 times over and over again? And I decided that I just couldn't do it. And I just felt, this amazing moment came over of freedom. It was like it just was lifted off to me. And I got back on the freeway, got off at the exit at Grand Central and Utopia Parkway, parked my car right outside Marillac Hall, went up to the second floor, went into the dean's office, Dean Sarah Fassenmeyer, and I told her, I've written this book, and it's now just been published. It's called Your Erroneous Zones, that I wrote also as a result of another calling. And I said, I've got to take it out to the world. I've got to talk about it. I appreciate the fact that I could work here for the rest of my life, but it's just not something that I can do. These kinds of callings, we all have these. We know that we have a purpose. You already know that you have a purpose. You know, you're listening to that all the time. It's there. The idea that you can't do it or that you shouldn't do it or that my whole life has been impacted by listening and being willing to understand that. And there's a quote that I talk about at the seminar that'll be a part of this course and it goes like this. It's from William Blake. He said, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern, by William Blake. There are things that are known, and there are things that are unknown, and in between are the doors. And even Jesus said, I am the door. That is, the internal I amness within God is the door that you can open and discover so many new things.
Fourth verse of the Tao Te Ching. Quote, the Tao is empty but inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Within it, the sharp edges become smooth, the twisted knots loosen, the sun is softened by a cloud, the dust settles into place. It is hidden but always present. I do not know who gave birth to it. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things. End quote. Living infinitely. The Tao is the source of all life, yet it is empty and limitless and cannot be constrained, quantified, or measured. This life-giving energy of creation provides a profound source of joy that's accessible at all times. If you live from an infinite perspective, you'll relinquish the idea that your own identity is the physical body in which you progress from birth to death. In your totality, you're an infinite being disguised as a person existing in the world of sharp edges and twisted knots, as this verse refers to. Coalescing within and around you at all times is the invisible, life-giving force of the Tao. It is inexhaustible, it is bottomless, it cannot be depleted. This fourth verse of the Tao invites you to consider rearranging your thoughts about who you are. It seems to be saying that cultivating an awareness of the infinite aspect of yourself is the way to tap into the limitless source of creative energy that flows through you. For example, you may want to help some less fortunate people improve their day-to-day existence, but you don't believe that you have the time or the energy to do so because of who you are and what you're presently doing. As you relax your hold on the idea of yourself as the job you do or the life you're living, and seek to acquaint yourself with the limitless creative energy that's a part of you, the time and energy you require will appear. Imagine yourself helping others, guided by the infinite aspect of yourself, will generate behavior and actions that complement your vision through the common ancestor of the Tao. Ultimately, you'll cultivate an absolute knowing that whatever assistance you need is right here and right now, in front of, in back of, above, and below you. It is empty, yet very much present. It is, as Lao Tzu reminds you, inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Awareness of the omnipresence of the Tao means that thoughts of shortages or lacks aren't prevalent. Beliefs such as, there's no way this will happen, it's not my destiny, or with my luck things could never work out, cease to be entertained. Instead, you begin to expect that what you imagine for yourself is not only on its way, it's already here, This new self-portrait based on the cooperative presence of the invisible Tao elevates you to living an inspired life, that is, one of being in spirit or in unending touch with the Tao. When you live infinitely, the rewards are a sense of peaceful joy because you know that all is in order. This is what I imagine Lao Tzu's ancient words mean in our modern era. First, consider all things that seem to be a problem from the perspective of the eternal Tao. Believing that there's a shortage of prosperity is a signal to think in terms of the inexhaustible source, the Tao. Just like everything else on our planet, money is available in limitless quantities. Know this and connect to the bottomless supply. Do it first in your thoughts by affirming, everything I need now is here. Prosperity thoughts are energetic instructions to access your infinite self, so actions will follow them. Take this same approach, staying in harmony with the Tao, to all of your problems, for there's an all-encompassing supply of well-being to partner with. So rather than giving energy to illness and perceived misfortunes, stay with the Tao. Stay with what can never be used up. Stay with that which is the Father of all things, the creative source of it all. It will work with and for you, as you have it in your thoughts, then in your feelings, and finally, in your actions. And secondly, be an infinite observer. When acknowledged as a sign of change, worry is transitory. It's simply part of the world of the changing. If you view your life from the vantage point of an infinite observer, concerns, anxieties, and struggles blend into the eternal mix. From this ageless perspective, picture how important the things you feel depressed about now will be in 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, or an uncountable number of years. Remember that you, like the infinite Tao from which you originated, are part of an eternal reality. Rearrange your thoughts to practice thinking in alignment with the Tao. With the assistance of the eternal Tao, all of the sharp edges of life smooth out, the knots loosen, and the dust settles. Try it. Do the Tao now. Pick a situation today. Any situation will work. And instead of verbally responding, be silent and listen to your thoughts. For example, in a social gathering or business meeting, choose to seek the emptiness found in silence in order to be aware of your infinite self. Invite it to let you know when or whether to respond. If you find your worldly ego interpreting or judging, then just observe that without criticizing or changing it, you'll begin to find more and more situations where it feels peaceful and joyful to be without response, just to be in the infinity that's hidden but always present. You might want to duplicate this advice of my teacher, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and post it conspicuously so that you can read it daily, as I do. Quote, "Wisdom is knowing I am nothing, love is knowing I am everything, and in between the two, my life moves." Unquote. And while you're living, stay as close to love as you can. Fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching. Quote, "Heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his people as straw dogs. The sage is like heaven and earth. To him none are especially dear, nor is there anyone he disfavors. He gives and gives without condition, offering his treasures to everyone. Between heaven and earth is a space like a bellows, empty and inexhaustible. The more it is used, the more it produces. Hold on to the center. Man was made to sit quietly and find the truth within." Unquote. Living impartially. The Tao does not discriminate, period. Like heaven and earth, it is impartial. The Tao is the source of all, the great invisible provider. It doesn't show preference by giving energy to some while depriving others. Rather, the basic life-sustaining components of air, sunshine, atmosphere, and rain are provided for all on our planet. By choosing to harmonize our inner and outer consciousness with this powerful feature of the Tao, we can realize the true self that we are. The true self is our unsentimental sage aspect that lives harmoniously with the Tao. This aspect doesn't view life in one form as more deserving than another, and it refuses to play favorites. Or, as Lao Tzu states, he treats all his people as straw dogs. Lao Tzu uses this term to describe how the Tao, as well as the enlightened ones, treats the 10,000 things that comprise the world of the manifest. In Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching, he explains that straw dogs were ritual objects venerated before the ceremony, but afterward abandoned and trampled underfoot. In other words, Taoism reveres and respects existence impartially, as an ebb and flow that is to be revered and then released. With impartial awareness, the sage genuinely sees the sacredness within all the straw dogs in this ceremony we call life. This fifth verse encourages us to be aware of this unbiased source and, as a bonus, to enjoy the paradoxical nature of the Tao. The more rapport we have with the energy of the Tao and the more we're living from its all-creating perspective, the more it's available to us. It's impossible to use it up. If we consume more, we simply receive more. But if we attempt to hoard it, we'll experience shortages ourselves, along with the failures of having even a wisp of understanding. The Tao and its inexhaustible powers paradoxically disappear when we attempt to exclude anyone from its unprejudiced nature. The varied forms of life are illusory as far as the Tao is concerned, so no one is special or better than anyone else. This sentiment is echoed in the Christian scriptures, quote, God sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous, Matthew 5:45, unquote. Practicing impartiality is a way to incorporate this fifth verse of the Tao Te Ching into your life and to practice its wisdom in today's world. To that end, this is what I believe Lao Tzu was trying to impart to us from his 2,500-year-old vantage point. First, stay in harmony with the impartial essence of the Tao in all of your thoughts and all of your behaviors. When you have a thought that excludes others, you've elected to see yourself as special and therefore deserving of exceptional favor from your source of being. The moment you've promoted yourself to this category, you've elevated your self-importance above those whom you've decided are less deserving. Thinking this way will cause you to lose the all-encompassing power of the Tao. Organizations, including religious groups, that designate some members as favored aren't centered in the Tao. No matter how much they attempt to convince themselves and others of their spiritual connection, the act of exclusion and partiality eliminates their functioning from their true self. In other words, if a thought or behavior divides us, it's not of God. If it unites us, it is of God. Stay centered on this Tao that resides within you, Lao Tzu advises, and you'll never have a thought that isn't in harmony with spirit. And secondly, offer your treasures to everyone. This is what the Tao is doing at every moment, offering to all the entire spectrum of creation. Think of this as a simple three-step process. 1. Eliminate as many judgments of others in your thoughts as possible. The simplest, most natural way to accomplish this is to see yourself in everyone. Remember that you and those you judge share one thing in common, the Tao. So rather than viewing appearances, which are really nothing more than straw dogs, see the unfolding of the Tao in those you encounter, and your criticisms and labels will dissolve. And 2, remove the word special from your vocabulary when you refer to yourself or others. If anyone is special, then we all are. And if we're all exceptional, then we don't need a word like that to define us, since it clearly implies that some are more favored than others. And 3, finally, implement the third step of this process by extending generosity through living the Tao impartially and connecting with the inner space of being the Tao. In this space, you'll be able to be unbiased about your possessions, recognizing that they're not exclusively yours, but are rather a part of the entirety. By unconditionally sharing and giving, you'll thrill at the experience of living the Tao and being unprejudiced. The Tao is your truth. It resides within you. Quietly be in the peace and joy of connecting with the inexhaustible Tao. Do the Tao now. As I readied myself to make the shift from an exclusively spiritual being into the world of particles in 1939, I had the following conversation with the creative intelligence I'll call God. God, what would you like to accomplish on this journey you're about to undertake? Me. I'd like to teach self-reliance, compassion, and forgiveness. God, are you certain that this is what you wish to dedicate this entire lifetime to? Me, yes, I can see the need even more clearly now. God, well then I think we'd better put your little ass into a series of foster homes and have you stay there for a decade or so, where you'll learn to experience relying upon yourself, and we'll remove your parents so that you won't be dissuaded from your mission. Me, I'll accept that, but what about my parents? Who will best facilitate my life's purpose? God. You can select Melvin Lyle Dyer as your father, a prisoner, an alcoholic, and a thief. He'll abandon you as a baby and never show up in your life. You'll first practice hating him and seeking revenge, but you'll ultimately forgive him long after he's left his body. This act of forgiveness will be the single most important event of your life. It will put you on the path that you're signing up for. Me. And my mother? What about her? Take Hazel Dyer, Lyle's wife. Her compassion for all of her children will give you an example to follow. She'll steadfastly work herself to the bone to reunite you and your brothers after 10 years or so of her own suffering. Me. Isn't it an awful, cruel fate for my father? God. Not at all. He signed up for this 25 years ago. He dedicated this entire lifetime to teach one of his children the lesson of forgiveness. A noble gesture, wouldn't you say? And your mother is here to show you how true compassion shows up every day. Now get down there and participate in becoming a particle. In the introduction of my book, You'll See It When You Believe It, I wrote about finding my father and visiting his grave in the early 1970s. The facts that led me there defy the laws of logic, and visiting it was the final hurdle I needed to overcome before initiating my writing and speaking career, or the mission I'd signed up for back in 1939. I've also visited the Holocaust sites of Europe and read and reread the history of events that contributed to the hatred that created war. In the 1960s, I worked to bring peace to the events surrounding the horrible Vietnam War, and today my attention is often focused on finding an alternative to the violence and hatred in Africa, the Middle East, and particularly Iraq. My calling is deep within me and has a hold on me. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm probably being guided by what Spirit and I decided at the inception of this journey. One thing I know for certain is that I'm inspired. I've described my personal insight about my calling to encourage all of you to examine your own life, including all of its travails and success, as a necessary experience in order to fulfill your mission. Looking at life from this perspective nurtures the deep yearning within that will beckon you back to Spirit. As you can see from my own example, it can be a great help to look at your entire life as the unfolding of a plan that you participated in before you even arrived here. By doing so, you shift from blaming others and circumstances to being responsible and feeling your purpose. Whatever shows up in your life then becomes a part of the perfection of this plan. When everything you experience seems unwelcome, for instance, you can search for what you gain from the apparent obstacles. If we can remember that we're responsible for what we're attracting, we can then eliminate the negative energy we wallow in. If what we desire is to be inspired and feel joy, but the opposite keeps showing up, rather than cursing fate, we can view ourselves as simply being out of creative vibrational alignment. We can shift our vibrations in the form of thoughts to those that are more harmonious with our desires, and we can then begin to take the small steps necessary for our inspiration to be sensed. Source energy will cooperate with us when we seek it energetically. Moreover, we can begin to reassess our lives for misaligned attractions and imagined bad luck. When we feel peaceful within ourselves, we begin to attract more of the peace we desire because we're functioning from a spiritual place of peace. When we engage Spirit, we regain the power of our ultimate source. Regardless of what goes on in the world of form, inside of ourselves, we'd still be living in Spirit. For example, a beggar on a street corner may have agreed to come into this world of boundaries to teach and generate the awareness that leads to more compassion in this world, or even to teach a single person, perhaps you, to become more compassionate. In an infinite universe, there's no time restrictions on how many lifetimes we get. With an infinity before us, spending one lifetime teaching compassion doesn't seem so outrageous. When we feel peaceful within, we begin to attract more of the peace we desire because we're functioning from a spiritual place of peace. When we engage Spirit, we regain the power of our ultimate source. An inspirational attitude is less judgmental and more appreciative, with a keen eye for how God or source energy manifests. And remember, source can't be removed from what it creates. Everyone and everything contains God or the source, so be on the lookout for the God force in every living thing. Explore how this force has delivered to us many blessings in disguise. We came from a world of pure spirit and allowed that source to take over without any interference or questioning on our part. As long as we were in spirit, our source materialized in a multitude of ways to handle everything for us. Then, almost immediately after our birth into form, we initiated a program to deny spirit and emphasize the ego. But now, as you listen to these words, you're on the threshold of dropping ego identity and returning to a life where inspiration awaits you.